I love a good smoked drink. I once went to a bar, shout out to Whiskey's in Dallas. They had a really good smoked old fashioned. And ever since then, I've been on a quest to try to create a good smoked beverage at home. I've had some successes and I've had some failures. I've gone as far as smoking the ice myself, smoking the whiskey on my smoker, and even trying to use a tree that fell in my backyard as some wood to smoke it as well. So then I went the route and bought one of those whiskey smokers online. My original plan was to talk about how they suck. Then Smokepub reached out and asked me if I'd be interested in looking at one of their electric beverage smokers, and I said sure, why not? What's going on, everybody? This is Lamar with MFN Research, and today we're going to take a look at an electric whiskey smoker by Smokepub. We're going to look at the features, we're going to compare it to a traditional butane powered whiskey smoker, and see if it is indeed better. We'll talk about what I like, and we'll even go over some of the areas where I think it can improve. So this is the Smokepub, and let's talk about what you get inside. When you open it up, you've just got the instructions right here, and then you've got the apparatus itself. You've got this little plastic that I left in the bottom, and then you've got 6 different options for your wood flavors in here. So we've got pear, we've got hickory, we've got cherry, we've got apple in the corner, and then inside I left beech and oak. You've got a little metal wire cleaning brush to clean out the inside. You've got the charging cable, USB-A to C, and then you've got the little spoon to scoop your wood chips. And then it's all just cut in this nice little velvet looking container. So those all just go back in there like so. And then this is just the apparatus itself, charging cable. This is what it looks like. That's the button to actuate it. That's what goes inside. And yes, I have been using it. So that's what that looks like after a little bit of use. And that just cleans right off. And yeah, the little bowl falls right out. So that's that. And then just close it like that. And then that's the bottom. And that's where the smoke comes out right there. There are 2 different versions. There's the basic kit that just comes with the smoker itself. And I have the complete kit that comes with the 6 different wood chip flavors. So now I'm gonna walk you through what it's like to use it. So now we're gonna go through a night where I actually used it on some whiskey itself in the garage. I'll skip through some of the boring parts and we'll get just to the part of me actually using, or we'll talk about the things that are relevant to what we're doing. So this is me just with everything out that you're gonna need to smoke your whiskey or whatever you choose. I'm just opening it up. I've got the wood chips. I can't remember which kind I went with. They've got the spoon, and then I'm gonna show you guys these are what the wood chips look like, and that's gonna be important later, so take a look at that. So 3 or 4, we'll say, scoops. Fill it up. You just fill it to the line. There is a line to let you know how much wood chips to put in there just to fill it up. So once we get that nice full and level and wipe off any excess that we have, we're gonna close it back up, put it right on the lid. And one thing, it is just about the same size as the lid. You press it down for 3 seconds until the light turns green, and then you press it again, and then it's gonna come on. And what you're gonna notice is as soon as it comes on, you see that smoke starting to fill right in. It takes maybe 2 or 3 minutes. We'll time lapse this to just get the smoke filling in there. And you do see a little bit of smoke escaping, but it is filling up nice and full with the smoke in there. So what I usually like to do when I'm smoking a whiskey or something like that is once I get the smoke in there nice and solid, if I'm not gonna run that cycle again, I'll just let it sit for a few minutes just to let that smoke sit in there for a few minutes. So now that it's been a few minutes, I'll just take that top off and let the smoke dissipate a little bit. You are going to use it. That's how much the wood chips burn. You could probably take that little bit of burn spot out there and do it again. And now we taste it. And one of the things I noticed is that the smoke gets in there pretty good. It's not as smoked as a drinking whiskey, but it's probably the best attempt that I've had so far. You can truly get a feel for the smoke that you're putting in the drink, and it does go into the drink. And you notice the change in flavor. So far, so good. We'll take a look at how that compares to a traditional butane whiskey smoker. According to Smokepub, you can smoke a whole bunch of stuff in here. You can smoke cheeses in like a glass if you're so inclined. I smoked whiskey, of course. I've smoked wine. I smoked coffee. And I smoked a square of ice once, one of the clear ice cubes. So that was pretty cool too. So now let's take a comparison to the butane torch and see how it looks. So the first thing we're gonna notice, and I'll give it a little bit of grace because I have had this in my house for about a year, just sitting around. It's not as nice of a box. It's just a basic cardboard box. So we're gonna just open this guy up. And this is what you get right in here. This one's a lot older. Here are the wood chips. You've got 4, so very similar flavors. And we'll just show you what those wood chips look like. And we'll do it again when we do a demonstration on this guy as well. They don't look as, they look similar, but they're a little bit more of the stray pieces in there. So you've got that. You've got an extra little bowl. You've got the butane torch. You've got a cleaning brush and a little extra material. You've got a little foam, regular bristled cleaning brush, not metal, which I don't know why you wouldn't do that. You've got another one of the little spoons to scoop your stuff out. So you see some similarities in the equipment here. And then this is the butane torch. This was actually my favorite cigar lighter for a while. It just lights up and that's all you do. And then we've got the smoker apparatus. We can get this out of here. So you just take this, open this, and like I said, it's been used. I'm gonna use my stuff. And it's just this little bowl. That's where the wood chips go. And then what you'll notice here is the holes. You have to make sure that the holes in there are lined up and then it smokes your drink. So we'll now go through a demonstration of that as well. So just like before, we'll skip some of the boring parts. Had everything ready, had the wood chips in here, had the smoker in there. I think I'm trying to show it to the camera, but you can't see it. Luckily, I already did that before. We got the same spoon, that's the inside of it. I actually haven't used it since this time right here. So again, you just add the wood chips and there's the wood again. Looking at that one, that was a different one from the one I showed you earlier. And you saw the quality of those wood chips in there. And again, once we get everything loaded up, we got to make sure those holes are lined up properly. And usually what I end up doing is keeping that close by because you want to put that lid on as close as you can. So you just burn it, a little bit of fire, the butane. And one thing you'll notice, the quality or the amount of smoke isn't as much. And I'm getting little specks of ash going everywhere. And you just notice that one thing, this glass is almost a little too big. The smoke didn't sit in there as much, but we did get some decent smoke, but it's not as much as we noticed earlier. And just like before, I like to sit and let that absorb a little bit. So we're gonna skip through some of that while I get my cigar prepped, and we'll let you know how that smoke came out once we have a little bit of a time lapse. So now when you take the lid off, you notice that the smoke goes away almost instantly. That's what it looks like afterwards. So a lot more burnt wood chips by the time you're done. And we just get ready for a tasting to see how the two compare. Thinking about it now, I felt more like the smoker smoked the glass and not necessarily the whiskey itself. It almost didn't make it down to the whiskey. So I think that was the issue I was having before. I didn't feel like that smoke was actually infusing in the drink. So now let's break them back out and let's compare the two real quick. So in the box contents, I think the Smokepub contents, they're a little bit better packaged. They're a little bit more organized and things like that. It's a better presentation overall. The apparatus is bigger. It makes a tighter seal. This is a little bit bigger than the other one, so you can get a better seal on some of your glasses. They have holes very similar to here, but because you don't have to worry about lining them up, you have a better chance. There have been times using this where I didn't pay attention and didn't line those holes up, and I didn't get a good smoke out of here. So that's something you got to be mindful of. This is a lot easier. This is a lot more set it and forget it, press the button, walk away, and use it. I think the wood chips came out a little better. Some of the stuff we talked about. And one thing you got to be careful of, when you have that lighter going, you got to be quick with it or you'll mess up your smoking session. Once or twice, if the butane is running out or you got a bad feel or something like that, the lighter will sputter and that'll mess you up as well. You don't have that problem with the electric. And it seemed to smoke the glass instead of smoking the whiskey. And I think the quality of the wood chips might look a little better. Here is the pecan of this one. We're gonna open that up and then we'll try to see if we can find it. Actually, they look a little bit similar. The one that I had wasn't as good looking. We'll just grab the pair and compare. Taking a look at those, you get a little bit more in the Smokepub as well, but they look very similar. I'd say that there's some more bigger pieces in the Smokepub, maybe just slightly. but you get a little bit more, so that's something to consider as well. You also get 6 in the Smokepub over 3. All right, so now that we've got everything out, let's talk about what I like. I like the variety of wood chips you get. You get 6 varieties of different wood chips, and based on how much you use in a session, this is a lot right here. This is a last you for a really long time. The efficient use of wood chips, like I was alluding to, a little bit goes a long way. You can get multiple smoke sessions from one bowl full, and I really appreciate that. The glass compatibility, while they do show it sitting on a lot of different glasses, once you get too big, it becomes a problem. I think the glass that I had in the demonstration is probably the biggest you should go. I have tried it on the Glencairn style glass. I've tried it on a regular whiskey snifter. I've tried it on a beer glass, a coffee cup. So there is a lot of compatibility there. I think the build quality is solid. I really like what you get. It seems to be well made. I haven't had any problems. So going in, opening up, everything seems to work well. Everything seems to be tight. There's nothing that seems to be loose. One thing I will compare is the cleaning brushes between the two. This is a small little brush with wire bristles. This is just a little plastic brush with regular bristles. I wish that this brush was this size but kept these bristles. But overall, this does a really good job of keeping everything nice and clean. So do like the bristles that they include in here. I do like that the smoke is consistent. You're gonna get the same amount of smoke every time, and I really appreciate that. And it's very easy to use. It reminds me of when I switched to a pellet smoker. Some people are against that, some people don't like it, but sometimes you want that efficiency, know what you're gonna get every time without a lot of work when you don't have a lot of time. And like we talked about the wood chips, I appreciate that. So there are a couple areas where I think it can improve. So they talk about the flexibility of the glass sizes that you can use, but I do find that some glasses tend to lose more smoke than others. It's not as bad as the butane, but I do notice that some smoke gets lost. So maybe some kind of way to have an adjustable gasket on here, or maybe rubberize this so it seals a little better just to keep some of that smoke in. Maybe something that you could use. And one thing I think is very portable, instead of the box, you could maybe take this, and this, and give me some kind of carrying case or something like that, so I can take it with me if I'm going to a buddy's house, or take one and take it on the go, going on a trip, and I just want to have this small little setup by itself. One thing I'd like to know, because it only looks like a little bit, give me a little bit in the packaging of how many times you can get a very consistent smoke on one bowl of wood chips. Just to let me know, just because a small bit is burned, you could probably get at least 3 back-to-back burns or the same bowl of chips, maybe just scoop those burned ones out. So let me know in the packaging on that, how much you can get. And I think one thing, the marketing really brings up the fact that it's better than butane or all the drawbacks of butane. As you saw, I like cigars, so I'm gonna have some butane and a butane lighter with me, usually when I'm using this guy for whiskey, so that's not a big deal for me. I think you should focus on more of the portability, the ease of use, and the consistent smoke that you get. So that's where I think the focus is. I think battling the butane as a concept isn't the strongest approach. And for some people out there, the fact that you have to charge it USB-C might be a deterrent to you guys, but if I'm outside in the garage, it's not a big deal for me. We've all got USB-C cables all over the place, so that's the one thing you might have to look out for. So now, would you go for the convenience of the push button Smokepub, or do you want to deal with that fire and have the traditional torch and wood method? Let me know in the comments if this is something you'd be interested in picking up. Again, shout out to Smokepub for sending me this. It has redeemed smoking beverages now. Maybe I can do it at home. It is still not as good as where I had it at Whiskey's, but this gets me almost there. As always, I'm Lamar with MF and Research. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. I'm out.